Good morning. Welcome back to the Homeschool Library, coming to you from right here in the Little Green Schoolhouse. As always, I'm Brad. Glad to have you aboard. So, as loath as I am to open this video on what might sound like a bit of a downer note, I want to provide a little bit of context here. My dad recently passed away. Actually, not quite 3 months ago, as of this recording. And we've slowly been incorporating a lot of his books into the library here, which has been kind of fun, actually. It's afforded me the opportunity to remember how much Dad and I had in common. You know, he's very much the one who instilled in me a love for all things history. Much of the pop culture that I consume comes from me as a little kid with my dad, enjoying those things that he grew up enjoying. Everything from old time radio, old movies, old TV shows, which, of course, when he was a kid in the 1940s was new time radio, new movies, new TV shows. And we spent just countless hours together enjoying those things together. And over the last couple of decades, as some of those old things kind of became available again in new editions, new copies, new video formats, we really enjoyed those things together. So it's been a lot of fun for me, maybe some bittersweet, but one thing that I had been doing over the last, several years really, was I would take great joy in finding some of these things that I knew that Dad would love, things that he probably would have had no way of even knowing existed, honestly. And those are the things that I'd be tracking down and giving to him as gifts. And every Father's Day, every birthday, every Christmas, sometimes just on your average Thursday, when I'd find one of these things and bring them over and give them to my dad, he took so much joy in seeing some of those old things come back to life. And over this next probably several videos that I'd like to do here is bring down some of these selections from my dad's bookshelf that not only showcase the kind of man that my dad was, but they really reflect on who I am, because I reflect my dad in a lot of these kind of things. So hopefully you enjoy this series of videos from my dad's bookshelf. Now, this particular video actually was in a roundabout way kind of inspired by Thomas McNulty from over at McNulty's Book Corral. You're really a kindred spirit over there, sir. I love your channel. He was going to do a video on some of the old Lone Ranger material. And that triggered my mind, like, hey, we love the Lone Ranger around here. I've got my kids now enjoying the old Lone Ranger TV show with Clayton Moore. I loved it as a kid. Some of the even the other material, like the comics, the radio show is a favorite. I enjoy listening to that. But several years ago, something came out that honestly I didn't even know had originally existed. But when I found that, I immediately, this is something that I've got to get from my dad. And it was the Lone Ranger pulp magazine. Now, I love pulp literature. Some of the great pulp characters that I'm sure many of you know, like the Shadow, Doc Savage, Spider, those kind of characters. But there were many, many other character pulps that existed over the years. When the Lone Ranger was still on radio, even before he'd ever make the jump to television, that character also made the jump into pulp magazines to kind of help sponsor or drive up interest in the radio show as well. Because back then, people would read things to get interest in things that they watched instead of the other way around, or whatever kind of wacky world we're living in now. So I was able to get all of these Lone Ranger Pulp magazine reprints for my dad. It took a couple of years to get them all and give it to him. But man, every time that he opened up one of these, he dropped whatever else he was reading and immediately started diving into these. Now, I haven't read these yet. I honestly, I didn't know where he put them after he got them read, but I figured I would eventually. Excuse me. And now that we've got them moved over here, I expect to take a lot of joy into going through some of these as well. He spoke very highly of them. I think he read them all probably a couple of times. So I'd like to just show you some of these covers here. This is the first issue from April 1937. These were put out by Adventure House, which is a pulp reprint company. They do some great work. Now, these are the complete magazine as it originally appeared, including all of the illustrations, the main cover novel, which the very first pulp novel featuring the Lone Ranger was called The Phantom Rider. I love that cover. You know, here and over the last, whenever the Lone Ranger TV show started, I can't remember, our image of the Lone Ranger has been Clayton Moore in that blue-gray shirt, the tight scarf, the hat, the uniform. The Lone Ranger uniform, it's so iconic. But in his original appearances, that didn't exist yet. So you see here, I love this image of Tonto, of course, the Lone Ranger in his checkered shirt and coat. Really the only common theme that is carried over in all incarnations of Lone Ranger artwork is that mask. Early on, he was just an authentic Texas Ranger, looking very much as a Texas Ranger of the 1870s would look. So I love the artwork on these, including the interiors. Some of those line drawings in there, I love old pulp art. So these have got the novel, the Lone Ranger novel. This one, and of course the other material as well. But next month, the Lone Ranger strikes again. This has got the story of John Wesley Hardin, ace of the Texas Gunfighters, which is an historical article by Chuck Martin. Illustrations by H. Smilkstein. Never heard of either one of those names. Another story, Boomer Buckaroo. It's even got some comic strips in here. The Necktie Tree. In the next issue, Dust Devils by Claude Rister, one of the secondary stories that many of those old pulp magazines had on them. Branding Time on the Ranch. So there is quite a bit of entertainment value in these. And then, of course, there's some early Lone Ranger fan club thing here. You can collect stamps. Don't know if there was a letter column in these just yet. Chuck Wagon Chats. That looks like the letter column. No, just looks like a bit of an editorial. There you go. There, join the Lone Ranger fan club, which still exists, by the way. You can join the Lone Ranger fan club via Facebook. Get your own card number, just like you always could. It's maybe you all join one of these days. That might be fun. So that is the first issue, April 1937, of the Lone Ranger magazine. Can't wait to dive into these. And these are quick reads. They really are. They're all about, looks like 120, 130 pages. And that's including all the ads, the artwork. So it's not, you can read one of these in an afternoon very easily. This, of course, second issue here from May 1937, featuring the Masked Rider's Justice. Again, I love that artwork. The checkered shirt seems to be a theme in these. Yeah, 10 cents. 10 cents for this pulp magazine. The reprint was a little more than that. I paid $14.95 for this. Things have gone up in price over the years. In the almost 90 years since this first came out. The Masked Rider's Justice, novel number 2. And these were all written by Fran Stryker. I believe Fran's name is on all of them, whether any of those were ghost written. I don't think so. Fran Stryker was one of the creators of the Lone Ranger character, did a lot of the early novels, not just the pulp novels, but actual novels as well. Someday maybe I'll bring out some of those and show you some of the old Lone Ranger novels. I don't have them all. I wish I did. That would be a fun collection to have. McNulty, you know, if anybody's got them all, it might be Thomas McNulty over at McNulty's Book Corral. I'll have to ask him one of these days. Maybe he'll come out with that Lone Ranger episode. This next one from June 1937, Killer Roundup. Love those old pulp titles. Some of the other stories in here, we got Getting Cal's Goat by Archie Jocelyn. Not a lot of big name pulp authors in these. Maybe they were more popular in the 1930s. I don't know. I haven't tracked down a lot of the history on some of these authors. That may be interesting to do. I know there's websites on the internet that will kind of compile all of those into a big database, and you can read by author, by title, that kind of thing. I'm more familiar with a lot of the pulps from kind of the 1940s and on, some of those authors. But these throughout, Fran Stryker aside, I'm not really familiar with. You know who is a good resource for all of that is the author James Reasoner. He's a very prolific author, still working today. James is the pulp aficionado. He's got a blog called, I think it's Rough Edges, put out. Follow James Reasoner for all things pulp history, and just enjoy some of his books as well. The next volume here from July 1937 is The Valley of Shadows. Find out what's going on in the Valley of Shadows. Windy Willie of the Woolly West. The comic strips that were in there. The pulp magazines had all kinds of just fun entertainment. In addition to the novels. The Yucca Kid. That sounds like a good one. The Yucca Kid. Volume 5 here from August 1937 has got The Cave of Terror. Lone Ranger there wearing a green shirt. I hope I'm not holding these too close. You can see those fantastic pulp covers there. Again, the mask, really the only thing that signifies that this is the Lone Ranger. Still several years away from his iconic uniform. The Heritage of the Plains. There from, what is this, September 1937. This one has still got a bookmark in it. Looks like Dad stopped reading Famous Frontier Fights. The Battle of Whitebird Canyon. That's where that bookmark is. I don't know if he was rereading this or just left that in there. I don't think he was in the middle of reading this one at the time, because they were all down together on his bookshelf. So we'll never know. We'll never know. But he did really love these. The last couple of issues here looks like they changed the cover format just a little bit. They don't have the title on the cover anymore. Just a little bit different. See here on the sidebar, it's got Hi-Yo Silver. So that was clearly by October 1937. That was becoming the well-known tagline. You see the difference here in those two cover presentations. Looks like they're trying to get a little more streamlined. Maybe they were expecting the Lone Ranger magazine to take off and wanted that just an iconic cover. Everything would be the same. I don't know. I have no idea. The title for this novel, like we've got to go inside because they didn't put it on the cover. Lone Star Renegade. There you go. You've got that iconic Lone Ranger pose in that artwork, rearing up on silver. Looks like another great magazine from October 1937. And the very last of the 8 issues of the Lone Ranger Pulp magazine here is from November 1937. You see there he's back to a checked shirt, blue in color this time. Death's Head Vengeance is the name of this novel. And there, as soon as you open this one, a quick way to learn music. Another one of those original pulp advertisements. Looks like you've got 1, 2, 3. There's probably about 10 different stories in this magazine, in addition to the comics, the articles, and the other things as well. So those are the 8 issues of Lone Ranger magazine, originally purchased for 10 cents at your local newsstand. Today they're going to be $14.95 if you want to pick those up. Again, I haven't read them yet, but I really look forward to checking those out. They're going to be quick reads. I wanted to show you those selections from Dad's Bookshelf. Hopefully this will be the first video of many. Do you love the Lone Ranger? Have you ever seen the Lone Ranger magazine? What's your favorite Lone Ranger material out there? Is it the radio show, the TV show, the movies, the comics? What do you love? Have you never heard of the Lone Ranger? Is this your first introduction to the character? Maybe we'll do some deep dives into the Lone Ranger in future videos. So if you like this video, if you want to see more, click that like button to see more. Stay tuned. Keep coming back. We love what we're doing here at the Homeschool Library. Hope you're finding something that you enjoy as well. Thank you to the new subscribers that we've gotten over the last couple of days. Very much appreciate you being a part of this community. We'll see you next time. Have a great morning. Stay warm. Bye.